America has a few problems right now. Couldn't you agree, right? Just a few little things like no border, everybody coming in, thousands upon thousands upon thousands. You're looking live, essentially, right now at the Rio Grande River. People are coming through. Single men are being sent back, but families are arriving and being welcomed and then being stashed under that bridge. It is a total catastrophe. What else? The Afghanistan fiasco that the fake news desperately wants you to forget. They're helping Joe Biden every single way. You know, not only did we withdraw in the most ridiculous way possible, but we killed a whole bunch of civilians on our way out. And don't forget this. Maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't. Joe Biden just screwed up our relationship with one of our oldest allies, France. How can you do that? He managed to do it. So, with all this stuff going on, what does Joe do? Relax.
Mr. President, what will you tell Emmanuel Macron?
Mr. President, when are you going to call Macron?
Went to Delaware. Rehoboth Beach has a big house there and just took it easy. You know, it'd be one thing if he were working really hard during the week, but he's not. You know it. We know it. We see it. It's obvious. This is not being hard at work.
May God protect our troops. Thank you.
Mr. President, what kind of impact does it have when celebrities like Nicki Minaj?
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, did you tell President Xi when you spoke to him last week?
Get vaccinated.
Mr. President, is this constitutional, Mr. President?
And it goes on like this. He won't take questions, in part because, quite frankly, he can't take questions. When he is off script, bad things start happening. I mean, there are now dozens of examples of him walking away. You know what is inconceivable? Donald Trump behaving this way. Even his detractors, right? Every day into the arena. He wasn't hiding. He was taking it head on, and that's what a president should do. Joe Biden, again, hopped in a plane and went away for the entire weekend. He has an advantage, though. The fake news covers up for him big time.
Apparently, Biden's going to be traveling less. What is that about?
You know, they got some things knocked out with the California trip, the wildfires, focusing on climate change. He is going to, at least at this point, still planning to go to the G20 and the Glasgow Climate Conference. But in general, I think he's planning to focus on stuff from home. Home being Washington, D.C., and also Delaware on the weekend.
Delaware what? Inside the swamp. Inside jokes. Joe Biden staying in the White House, going to Delaware, doing nothing else. The weirdest presidency we've ever seen, and it's a funny joke to them. They glossed over entirely, by the way, one of the worst things the military ever did, the killing of a bunch of civilians in Kabul, Afghanistan. Was this as a result of political pressure? General McKenzie tried to tell us about this on Friday. The old have a press conference on Friday, no one's going to notice. I thought we were beyond that with our phones. Everybody notices, but at least with the fake news, it worked. It worked because yesterday, the World Series for the fake news, all those Sunday shows, they didn't go there. We killed a bunch of children in Afghanistan, the Biden administration, and the fake news played right along.
This Sunday, the battle over boosters.
We made the decision not to follow Israel's lead, which is to just give a third dose, period.
An FDA panel says no to COVID booster shots.
Did you hear what he said? The battle over boosters. That's alliteration. They love that. Last week, it was the COVID crisis.
Applicable and necessary general population.
But yes, for those 65 and up or at risk.
You feel like you've seen this episode before? Notice the music is designed to make you worried. Nothing about our horrible, horrible blunder in Afghanistan, killing all those innocent people. All right, we can stop that for a moment. Meanwhile, in January of 2020, President Trump took out Soleimani. He was an Iranian general, led all of their terror programs. He was a bad guy. It was universally understood that he was a bad guy. Trump took him out as he walked across the airport in Baghdad, Iraq. This was a righteous killing. Bad guy. We got the right guy. Look at how the fake news panicked.
This Sunday, growing tensions. The U.S. kills a top Iranian military commander, sparking fears of an all-out war.
We took action last night to stop a war. We did not take action to start a war.
The administration insists Qasem Soleimani was in the late stages of planning attacks on Americans.
Last night was the time.
See what's going on here? Trump takes out a bad guy. This is a year and a half ago, and all hell breaks loose. Biden takes out a bunch of children, and they ignore it. War is hell. It happens, collateral damage. No, that was an election year, and they were doing anything they could to stop Trump, But Joe Biden can't even, he can't get our enemies. He doesn't even know how to treat our allies. Take a look. U.S. to share nuclear submarine technology with Australia in new pact. Well, guess what? I don't follow these things too closely. Australia is a friend of ours. But this has set the world against the United States, especially France. They have recalled their ambassador to our country. This is a big diplomatic screw-up. And remember, the fake news, they always told you that it was Joe Biden who was good at this stuff and Donald Trump who was terrible.
It isn't just that he betrayed our allies. It isn't just that he damaged the credibility of the United States on the world stage. It's that he doesn't have a plan.
What we have seen with Donald Trump is that he has betrayed our friends.
Donald Trump is going out of his way, insulting our most important geographic allies.
This guy does not articulate any support for democracy or human rights. This guy puts down other countries, particularly our allies. He cozies up to dictators.
Trump has spent the last few days doing as much damage as possible to our relationships with allies and our image across the world.
All right, you see, everybody was in on the joke. Now, they were mistelling the joke. They were actually lying. Because it's Joe Biden who has shown himself inept at handling relationships with our allies. Now, we are apparently sharing nuclear technology with Australia related to submarines. Right now, by the way, I'm not sure that's a great idea. Have you seen the way Australia has been handling COVID? I mean, talk about a police state. This is really, really bad stuff there. Anyway, it has set off France. France has recalled their ambassador to the United States. And take a look at what the French are saying.
Canif dans la relation transatlantique. Joe Biden, accusé d'ailleurs par la...
Moi, il faut se rendre à l'évidence. Joe Biden n'est pas beaucoup plus francophile que Donald Trump.
Madame, comment allez-vous? Anyway, they're very upset. Joe Biden. And again, here, take a look at this. Sous-marine australienne, la gifle de Joe Biden. The Australian submarines are a slap in the face by Joe Biden to Europe, especially La France. Remember, Joe Biden was supposed to be good at this stuff.
I have to tell you, what I'm hearing is very different from what you described. I'm hearing deep satisfaction that the United States is back, that we're re-engaged with our allies and partners.
Our allies and partners are not buying it. Joe, you can use this corny expression all you want. It's not working.
And so is the message I want the world to hear today. America is back. America is back. Diplomacy is back at the center of our foreign policy.
All right. Well, the French ambassador is gone. And that's kind of a big deal. I don't particularly care, but if you're so good at it, Joe, you should have fixed this issue. Right? Right. Hey, I got to say this about the fake news. They are covering the border issue somewhat. They're covering it in a special way, their own way. They're not. Well, they're acting like this is some mysterious weather that came through and dropped off all these people. They don't tie it back to who is responsible and what is responsible, Joe Biden and his administration. It was a promise that he made when he was campaigning for president, that this he would allow.
And by the way, I would immediately, as president, surge to the border. I would end this notion for the first time in history that people seeking asylum have to be in squalor on the other side of the river and in a desperate situation. They should be able to come to the United States and have a judgment made as whether or not they qualify. I would also surge to the border, immigration judges to make decisions immediately, and no one would be put in jail while waiting for their hearing.
All right, so don't wait in squalor in that country. Wait in squalor in our country. Does that make sense? And does it make sense that with this crisis at the border and all these other things that are going on, Joe Biden went bike riding this weekend, and Kamala Harris went to some football game and tried to flip a coin? Wherever the trouble is, she is not. And the same goes for Joe. Stay with us. We're going to talk about what happened in Washington this past Saturday, the rally in support of those arrested on January 6th. What was up with those cops and their equipment? I can't tell if they're Antifa or what they are. How about putting the word police on the front of these uniforms? Very strange. We'll be right back.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.